Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here with another cool project for your ScanNCut. This time a quick project using Craftex. Now Craftex is a paper, but it's been mixed with latex so that it actually has more fabric-like or leather properties. It's 0.5 millimeter thick, and when using the original unwashed formulation, it actually works very much like any other card when you're cutting it with a ScanNCut machine. So in essence, you can do this project whether you have a CM or SDX model of the machine. We'll start by opening the file in Canvas Workspace and then transferring the design over to our ScanNCut machine. So I've got the 2 strips of Craftex loaded onto my mat. I am using a fabric mat, as it's the only mat I've got at the moment that's got strong tack. You can use your standard mats, but I've got to retack mine, so they're not really up to the job right now. Okay, so basically, yes, you can use your standard mat with CM models of the machine. So I'm going to retrieve the design from Wi-Fi, which is where I sent it from. And I've got the design there, but just to make sure everything's positioned correctly, I'm going to scan a preview of the sheet with the bits on. So that's going through. Back it comes. And we can then see that everything is where it needs to be. So we click OK, choose Cut, and you might want to do a test, and if you need to increase anything here, you can increase the cut pressure, cut speed, but I'm going to leave everything on auto for now because I'm using an SDX model. You will need to do a couple of test cuts with your CM models, but I'm just going to send that off to cut. Okay, the cutting has finished, so, okay, unload mat, then we can take it out and start removing the Craftex. There we go, beautifully cut. Now, let's just try and do this with one hand. Now when you've got it off the mat, there's a couple of things you're going to want to do. You're going to want to scrunch it up. And keep re-scrunching and scrunching and scrunching and scrunching and battering it and shoving it into things and doing whatever you can to distress it. This is what's going to give us that leather look that we wanted from this material. Once you've finished scrunching, what you're going to do is get it in some water and soak it, and then dry it flat-ish, and then press it with the iron. You can also run it through your washing machine on a regular clothes cycle. Soap or unsoaped, doesn't matter. Maybe even chuck it through with a pair of jeans or some old towels. This colour won't run, but your colour from your jeans might run into it, which will give you a different look. And then yes, like I say, dry flat and then give it a loose press with the iron, and I will come back and show you what result that gives you. Okay, so I've got my pieces here. They've been washed and dried, and you can see it's now much more flexible than the original sheet that it was, which was basically a sheet of card. It's now got the properties of sort of a leather or a textile. So I'm going to need some extra bits now. So I've got some fabric glue, got some clips, and I've got the hardware that's going to form the closure and the decoration. So the closures, we've got hitch fasteners. These packs come from Tim Holtz. However, you can buy them in bulk from obviously places like Amazon. So I'm going to use one of those. Excuse me. And these were basically split rings, antique brass, and I got those to match the fastenings. So I'm going to need 2 of these little bad boys. Let me get a little tray to put them in and they won't run away. And I will need 2 of these little monkeys. 1, 2. There we go. So for the decoration, basically I want this split ring to sit in the middle here, and I want those to catch hold of it. So what I'm going to do with these is feed them through, fold them over, and then glue them in place. So let's get me some glue going on. Fold this over, and I'm going to clip this in place because it will take a few minutes to catch. I'll do the same with the other side. Oops, stay. One more clip and then we can leave that to dry. So there we go. That's everything clipped in place. Now for these, I am intending to actually try and stitch down the outside edge. So I want to leave a space where there is no glue. So I'm going to apply the glue down the centre, and obviously either side of these holes to make sure they stay in place. And I will need to leave some space to insert my fastenings. I don't want to put it too near the edge that it's going to catch the slots. Now this is the first time I've done it, so I can't say if this is too much or too little. I'm just basically winging it. Okay, so I need to make sure the holes are lined up. At both ends, and try and avoid getting my fingers covered in glue. I'm not too worried if the ones at this end aren't fully aligned. I'm more interested in making sure the 2 on their own are completely in place. Okay, now I need to make sure that I haven't stuck in there, so that's good. Yep, good. No glue, that's good. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I will come back to it and carry on. In fact, actually, it should be okay for me to show you this bit now, and then I'll show you the finished bit later when it's dry. So basically, I'm taking one of these little screw head things, the posts, putting it up from underneath, and then screwing one of these little knobby bits on the top. I'm going to do this finger tight for now, but it does have a flathead screw head, so you could potentially tighten it a bit more if you need to. Now obviously if I am sewing I would remove these, but for now I think that's good. And then basically obviously this will fold around and you'll put those knobby bits through the holes. It will be a bit tight on your first go, and that is fine, but as the fabric leather gives way, you should be able to get these through a bit better. There we go. See? It's in. Now I will take it out for now because I've got to get this bit in here as well. So my goal here is to glue the end tabs inside those slots. Now there isn't a huge amount of give for this, so I do need to be quite precise with the glue. Basically, this is what I will end up with, hopefully. Obviously, if you're doing this at home, you could make these a bit longer if you're concerned about that at all. Oops, there you go. So, let's see if I can manage this without completely mucking it up. Now that's way too much glue for the front, so what I'm going to do is actually take some of that and bring it around the back. Then I'm going to try and open this up. Again, if you're stitching down the edges, you'll either need to make sure that you're using a very fine zipper foot to avoid this, or wait to put this in until after you've finished stitching. Okay. We can afford to put a bit more on the back. Okay, that's in. I might see if I can they reach? No, they can't. Let's see if I can find my other clips. Yes, I can. Let's put a couple at this end as well, just to hold that in place. I might be able to slide that one up. There we go. And there we have our cuff all assembled. Follow the instructions for the curing time for the fabric glue and then just leave it to set. Maybe even add an extra hour just to be sure. And then what we've done is basically gone from something that is basically cardboard into something that is wearable. I added some decorative stitching around the outside with a sewing machine, but this step is purely optional, so don't feel that you have to do it. If you need to, you can always move those cut lines if you find that the little tabs are not getting into the right place. And just be careful when you're gluing it in place to keep the glue where it needs to be rather than on show. And there we have our finished cuff. Obviously it's adjustable as well with those extra holes. I hope you enjoy making it and will share with us what you do make in the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching.